Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Chauskas. Today is the 13th of August 2018. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday morning's session where we're going to have a look at the markets, what happened with them last week. We're going to have a look at a few instruments, what to expect from them maybe this week. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Also, just a very quick reminder of our JFD Brokers website and specifically our JFD research page. If you go here and click on JFD research, it will take you to our web page, which we update on a daily basis. So yep, feel free to check us out, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourselves. So, but for now, let's have a look at the charts. Now, the first one I want to quickly touch on, and that's the FTSE. Now the FTSE continues to trade here within this rising channel formation, as you can see. Let me just slightly adjust this. There we go, as you can see it better. So we're still hanging around inside this channel, and certainly until it's broken either to the upside or to the downside, we're still going to kind of continue moving within these. We're going to be looking at these boundaries of this rising channel. So for now, as you can see, we're seeing a bit of weakness kicking in, especially given the Fridays. I cannot find another way of other and then calling it a crazy activity on Friday. So you can see that the indices took a bit of a hit, FTSE as well. So now it's currently resting just slightly above this this 21 EMA here, shown as the yellow line. So we're just slightly above it, of course. But for now, we're still gonna aim higher overall in the near term. Certainly, we could see a bit of decline here if this move lower continues. So, but to be honest, keep an eye on this lower bound of the rising channel. So it could prove to be a nice bouncing ground again, as you can see here in the end of July and the beginning of August. It kind of acted as a good bouncing ground. So this time again, keep a close eye on it, because like I said, if we do see a continuation here to the downside, certainly keep an eye on this level here, the 73.10, and slightly below that the 7300 level as well. So and then of course the lower bound, which could potentially, like I said, act as a nice bouncing ground for another push higher. So basically, as long as the lower bound remains intact, we are still going to aim for higher levels. If, let's say, this suddenly decides to reverse higher straight away and without even going towards the lower bound, then yep, keep a close eye on this 75.15 area, approximately there. So this has been the all-time high, and if we get a nice break here above the 75.15, then it's opening the path towards higher levels, and specifically towards the upper bound of the rising channel. So for now, keep a close eye on this, guys. There are some good levels to watch here, but like I said, let's see what it wants to do with this downside idea first. Judging from DAX is also selling off, certainly selling off. Friday's sell-off has been a slightly bigger one than, well, not a slightly one, but a bigger one than the I do apologize, guys. All this time I was talking about the FTSE, and then actually I was looking at the Nasdaq picture. All right, okay. Well, this is a Monday morning for me. Wonderful. So do apologize, guys. Everything what I said just previously about the FTSE, it was actually meant to be about the Nasdaq. So yep, my biggest mistake ever here. But like I said, I do apologize for that. This is, yep, Monday morning for me. Anyway, let's jump into the DAX here. So the DAX continues to trade here between these two lines, between this downside resistance line and this upside support line as well. And certainly for now we're going to stick to these areas. And certainly we're going to keep an eye on this upside support line initially. Let's see if it actually makes bounce off of it or not, or initially, of course, will it reach it or not. Certainly judging by the Friday's activity, we could see a continuation here today to the downside, and from which we could see maybe a bounce back up and a move higher. Certainly if this upside support line gets broken, then we could start aiming for this lower level here at around 12,100 level. So keep an eye on that one. Certainly the 12,100 acts as a very nice support here in the month of June. So we could see that one playing out if we get a nice break here above, below this upside support line. So certainly keep a close eye on that one, guys. And yep, let's see what it wants to do with those levels here. So certainly, like I said, for now we're just aiming for more to the downside, and we're just going to be looking at potential maybe bounce here off of this upside support line. Okay, let's jump into gold, and gold is stuck here, continues to be stuck here between these two levels here, the 1205 and the 1215, approximately there, of course. So certainly, as you can see, that it still cannot close neither below this 1205, neither above the 1215. So for now we're just gonna keep on observing this one, but as you can see that the prevailing trend is this prevailing short-term trend is still to the downside, and we could maybe see if we see a break here below the 1205, then this could lead towards a possible test of the 1195 mark. Now the 1195 here acted as a very strong area of support around the March time last year, and certainly keep a close eye on that one. If we start moving towards that 1195 on the way down, it will hit it could hit the psychological, well, it will probably hit, if it continues towards the 1195, it will hit the psychological 1200 level. Now this one is an important level as well, but like I said, the slightly below level is the one to watch, the 1195, and that was the low that we saw in March 2017. On the upside, well, for us to kind of start aiming for higher levels, we would need to see a nice good break above the 1215 level, and this is where we could start positioning ourselves for probably a test of the 1237 zone, probably say even between the 1235 and 1237 zone. So this area here could be a potential nice area for a resistance. Certainly a break above that could open the path towards a possible test of this this upside support line, this very long-term upside support line that has been running here since around December 2015, and certainly we could see maybe a possible test of that trend line, but of course a test of that from underneath. So but for this possible scenario, we would need to see not only a break here above this 12, break and a close above this 1215, but also a nice good strong move above the 1237 area. Okay, let's jump into a few pairs now quickly, and the euro dollar here is, well, getting a bit of a recovery. Or you can see that it's, of course, not significant, but as you can see from last week we've exited the important range here that we were trading in. Certainly we had a nice strong move on Friday. We broke it nicely to the downside, and yep, we broke this 115-100. Certainly we broke another key area of support here slightly below the 114.80, which was marked here by the low of the 20th of July, and this is where the pair found its nice support at around 113.70. Now the 113.70 acted as a very good area of support here, and on around the 13th of July last year. So Certainly the big question here is, are we going to see a bit of recovery, maybe a bit of retracement back to the upside, from which the bears could take advantage, I mean, and push this this pair even lower again? Will we see something like that, or is it going to just continue moving lower straight away? Now, if we do get a break below this this 113.70 and especially a close, then keep your eyes on the 113 level. Now, the 113 is a quite important level to watch. You can see it's how it played out nicely here in June time last year. So the 113 is the one to watch if we get a break below the 113.70. Certainly until this stays here below this lower bound of this range here, the 115.100, we're still going to be let's say looking at the downside here. But for us to start examining higher levels, we would need to see a nice good move back above the 115.100, especially to see a close above that level, and this is where we could start aiming for higher levels again. But to be honest, judging by this picture right now, it doesn't seem to be the case for the short term. Let's have a look at GBPUSD now. And GBPUSD, well, it also last week it got out of here its downwards moving channel here. So for now, the sentiment is still more to the downside. We could potentially see some sort of a recovery, maybe basically just a small correction back to the upside, but of course the big question here is when, because at the moment it looks like that today we could see a continuation here to the downside, maybe even actually well, to be honest, I've got the next level here marked as the 126, but to be honest, that would be a bit of a big jump for a big drop for the for this pair to do in a day. So we could potentially aim for slightly lower levels, certainly initially aiming for the Friday's low at around 127.25 mark, and if that doesn't hold, if we get a nice break below the 127.25, keep your eyes on lower levels. But again, on the slightly like longer term, keep your eyes on this 126 mark. Now this could prove to be a nice area of support, from which the pair could maybe bounce back and do a bit of correction. Now certainly if this pair suddenly gets back inside this falling channel formation, now this is where it could become interesting for the bulls, as we could see some bulls jumping in here and trying to drive it back up towards the 129.55 or even the psychological 130 level. Let me just quickly adjust this. So the psychological 130 as well level is to watch as well, but only if we get a nice break above the 129.55 mark. So, but that all this, of course, the upside scenario, we will only consider that if we get back inside this falling channel formation. Looking at the USDCAD now, USDCAD had a nice push on Friday, moved higher, closed above this 130-125 zone. Certainly now we can see that this pair is kind of stuck here between these two lines, between this upside support line taken from the low of around the 2nd of February and this downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 27th of June. So at the moment, of course, we're going to continue observing this one. It's, to be honest, it would be a bit of a difficult one to trade, as it could maybe find good resistance around this downside resistance line and then move lower again. So it could trade for a little bit, but for us to make a move here, we would need to see either a nice good break and a close above this downside resistance line, where we could then aim for the 132.90 or even the 133.80, or we would need to see, well, for us to go let's say go more bearish here, we would need to see a break below this upside support line, and of course this level right here at around 129.65. Now this could be a very good confirmation if we get a break below this upside support line, and like I said, the downside could get confirmed nicely if we get a nice break and a close above below this 129.65 area. And the last pair that I really wanted to touch on, and that's the USD Turkish Lira. And certainly, as you can see now, well, it's a bit of a difficult one here, and let me just adjust the chart a little bit. So as you can see that today, this morning already, we've managed to reach the all-time highs, and that was approximately around the 7.2021, let's round it up. Well, it was more of a 7.2060, something like that. So of course, this is a bit of a difficult one right now. Certainly, there's a lot of people who would like to short it, but to be honest, be very careful. As you can see, it made a nice move already here from this 7.21 area. It moved below its if it's Friday's highest point at around 6.80 mark, something like that. And of course, now the big question here is this going to stay here below this 6.80, or actually we're going to see another move higher here and maybe another break of this 680, and then another maybe push closer towards this all-time high here. It's a bit of a difficult one right now, I would say. And let's say if this continues to hold, the 6.80 continues to hold. Now this is where maybe we could see a bit of a correction to the downside. But to be honest, like I said, with this pair right now, anything is possible, and I would probably recommend to be very careful with this one. And certainly it's really appealing probably for those short sellers, and yeah, you could eventually maybe aim for a move like this, but to be honest, that's quite a big drop, just judging by the way it devalued on Friday and Thursday. And for now, like, I would probably recommend to stay cautious on this one, but keep a close eye right now. Initially, keep a close eye on this 680 level. Let's see what it wants to do with it. If it continues to hold and it will act as a good area of resistance, then we could see a potential maybe move lower, just a little bit at least. But if this continues to drop further, then keep your eyes on this short term, I would say maybe more tentative upside support line here, taken from the low of around the 24th of July. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching and listening. Once again, I do apologize for the first mix-up here when I was talking about the FTSE, but actually I was looking at the the Nasdaq chart. So, like I said, I do apologize for that. That's a Monday morning for me. But anyway, if you want to join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, and that's 13:15 GMT time, 14:15 British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much, and bye-bye.